Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be doing my round 17 team review, going through who went well, who didn't go so well, and how I changed in rank, I guess. So my round 17 score was 2396 and around rank of 7288, and I did drop I think 19 ranks or something like that. Yeah, 19 ranks, so not bad for holding dunks. And also this week again I probably will be holding dunks, but we'll have to wait and see with that. So before we get into the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into the video. So as you can see here, I actually I VC'd and captained both defenders. So yeah, weird one. Never probably going to see that, as it's very rare, but you'll probably start seeing it next year, as I've been discussing with many people that we think that the forwards are going to be very, very bare next year from just the looks of it. And it looks like even Dawson and Dacos Dacos will definitely keep his defender status, I think, for another year, which will be good. And I think Dawson will not, sadly, as I think he's going to be on the cusp, as I think he moved into the midfield after 7 or 8 games and hasn't really played much defense after that. So I think he's going to lose that defender status. And I think Doherty's probably going to be on the cusp, and Sinclair again also should keep it, but we'll have to wait and see. So I'll just put it at this. So Jordan Dawson 256 was the captain, and was just almost like just a hope again, because Nick Dacos went 112 and I wasn't happy with that. And as I think my mark has sort of gone up a little bit now to like a 115, as especially we had those two good matchups. We had West Coast, who played, they played Brisbane, but I didn't have a Neil, even though Neil went 127, I believe. So I still beat out the Neil people by 1 point, I believe. Let me just check. Neil went 127, so again I beat out a popular VC by 1 point, so I'll take that win again. So yeah, that's Jordan Dawson. He could have obviously gone about 130, 140, but 128 is a good enough captaincy, and just a good enough display from him. 116 average now puts him as the 4th best for the year. And Nick Dacos 6th best. What is Merritt? Merritt is 5th, and Bontempelli I'm guessing is 7th, yeah. And I'm guessing Brayshaw is up there as well. So it's going to be English and Taranto that are ahead of English, Taranto, and then Oliver, who hasn't been playing for a while, is still up there as well. Then you've got, obviously, Nick Dacos did 112, so that was a huge effort from him. And he's just been amazing to have pretty much from the start. I didn't pick him from the start, which was a little bit of a mistake, as but yeah, he's had a 79, an 84, and a 99. Even though he's pushed into the midfield now, he looks pretty much unstoppable, and he's just getting those marks and tackles a game that he needs. Like that game that he had against Gold Coast, the 150, he went and had 61 non-disposal points. Take away 8, and that was 8 as well. So yeah, 61 non-disposal points is quite ridiculous. Jordan Dawson, in the same vein, is very similar. He's gone 16, 21 here. Even here, 9 is seen as a low for him. 13 here, 15, 7, another low, but 7 seems to be his like worst game here. Yeah, 7 is his worst game for marks and tackles combined. And that was a 6-1, and that was a 1-6, so that was still 27 points from that game, and that was only an 85. So he's had very similar to Dacos in that he has that capability to go 130 plus, but also very, very high basement score. Then you've got Doherty here, 115. Really happy with him, as I've been saying in the game review, the Fremantle versus Carlton game review, that I was just happy with this. Once I brought him in, his role seems to be back to what I like it to be, and I think his role could do better now with Kennedy out. Even though Hewitt probably comes back in straight into the mould, I think they won't want another sort of rookie guy around the ball at the moment, when they really do need to win out from here. And they've got a tough matchup, but then also he's potentially a VC option if they play on the he might be a captaincy option actually. He could be an early, he could be a VC option in that game, as They have West Coast, and then you've got St Kilda with like I could do like a Rowan Marshall or even a someone else like a Sinclair or a Steele. Probably by then I'll have him as the captaincy next week. Then obviously you got Sinclair here as well, so he's been doing really well. A 110 from him. I don't know when exactly I brought him in, but we'll just check here. When did I bring him in? So was it round 14 that I brought him in? Yeah, round 14 when he scored the 100. And he's gone 100, 130, 101, and 110. I don't know exactly what that gets him up to, but that is absolutely ridiculous for average sake. So yeah, he's been absolutely fantastic being in my team. And let me just see. So he's been really good, and the average I just did it there 110 in my side, so that's really good. And he'll be a mainstay for the rest of the year and probably next year, honestly, as it looks like we'll be trying to beef up the defense and almost having that, probably going very deep in the defense or very deep in the midfield next year, as we have some very underpriced guys coming in with fancy history. So whether they actually get back to their best is another thing, but I think there'll be less rookies next year, I think. Stewart has been fantastic since I brought him in. I don't know when exactly I brought him in, but yeah, he's just been in my team for a long time now. And yeah, other than I think that 66 that he had here, he's gone pretty much hundreds. Maybe I brought him in I think I brought him in like round 7 or round 8 or something, honestly, as he's been really good. And just continuing on. And then Himmelberg, I'm just waiting for the big breakout. Hasn't happened yet, but we'll have to wait and see. I think there is a big breakout game happening. And he could be one forward that we use next year if his new side, because I don't expect him to re-sign with GWS. If his new side plays him in defence, he could be absolutely huge. And yeah, just hoping he gets played in defence, as he's a much better fantasy scorer, obviously, in defence. Bont 114 was pretty good, and yeah, just continuing on, plays the Swans, and he might go absolutely nuts against the Swans, has done in previous years, I believe, so we'll have to look at him for potentially a VC, but I think English is the one to VC, as the Swans played, who did they play? They played Richmond, and then Curvis went nuts against Sydney, but obviously he got suspended, but I'm pretty sure he went nuts, and he ended up scoring a 113. So I think English, and a 113 was 8 above his average. So I think if English goes 8 above his average at least, that'll be a 117. And English has performed, I'm pretty sure, against the Swans before, so he'll be probably a good VC option as well. So then we move on to Merritt, my top scorer I think he was the top scorer for the round, actually, for the week. So if we go to, he was the top scorer for the round by quite a bit, I believe. And yeah, he was just ridiculous, and wish I had captained him, as that would have been like 22 points more, and probably would have actually seen me increase, go up at the ranks rather than fall back down. And he's just been a ridiculous pickup since I got him in. I'm pretty sure I got him in after the 150 or something, or one of these big scores. And yeah, he's been ridiculous. And I think he's averaged about 120 since being on my side, to be honest, as he's had 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2 150 scores and a couple of 110s, etc., and 197. Let me move on to Brayshaw. Brayshaw's been quite disappointing, and I wish I had, but I got him in after his bye week, so he's gone 100, 109, 129, 102, so he's been alright. It's just a 97. I wish he'd gotten that last kick to get, and I wish he'd flipped this around, as if he'd flipped that around, he would have gone 109, a 22 and 10 handball. He would have gone 109, and that would have been really good, but obviously 97's alright. Petrarca, 104, he's going to be questionable, I think, at least, as he is playing forward, but a little bit, but he still had like 50% CBA, so I think he just didn't get involved with it around in the contest, but obviously did well outside of it. So I still think he's a player, and against Brisbane, I think he'll play majority in the midfield, as they got to win this game. Then we move on to Brad Crouch. He was a little bit disappointing, only a 96, but he only had 2 and 4. So I think he still had the disposals like we wanted, and he's got Gold Coast, North, Hawks in the next 3. So I think you got to take advantage of that. And I wouldn't necessarily grab him, but I wouldn't necessarily sell him at all, because I don't think there's any indication saying that you cannot have Marshall, Crouch, Sinclair and Steele all go 110 plus in the next couple weeks. I still think there's enough points available against Gold Coast, North and Hawthorn. And then maybe after that, after these next 3 weeks, with me getting Sicily and Butters after that, and then I'll be looking at upgrading these guys. Maybe then I can go Crouch to like, I don't know exactly, but will be someone, maybe someone who... But I do think Crouch is still a very, very good option, averaging 104. I still think he'll be honestly good enough against Carlton and then against Richmond as well. So it might be the last 2 games that I look to pivot out of Crouch, because he's got tough matchups, and look at who's got the easier matchups in the last 2 weeks. And that probably looks to be Melbourne. So I could pivot probably Crouch to like an Oliver if Oliver's back or something like that. But we'll have to wait and see with that. Green was quite disappointing, and is someone that I'm looking at and thinking, is it time to move on from him? I thought post-buy that it was probably time, but then he went 108. But then a 69 getting, I believe, he wasn't even tagged, I believe. So that was just disappointing. Down 21 disposals from against Melbourne. So does have Adelaide and then the Suns. And then Western Bulldogs went. I don't think he's going to get tagged anywhere soon. And then against Sydney, I don't think he'll get tagged, to be honest, and I think he'll do well against the Swans. So it's one that I'm looking at, and I'm wondering when is the time to pull the trigger with getting rid of him. Wintagre, I believe, he's on the chopping block, even though he scored 70 odd and was fieldable in my side. And he does have this good run, is because I just need to be able to get up to basically be him for Steele. And I think that's just a better choice in the end. And Steele could easily go huge against all these sides and is a potential VC or captaincy option. So it's basically, I think Steele is a better player to grab than Mills. So that's why I might sacrifice Wintagre, who has a low break even and still has money to grab, and keep on potentially Sheldrick, just because I want, I think Sheldrick has the higher ceiling, I guess. And I think Wintagre will be squeezed out of the midfield rotation and could quite easily score lower, as we've seen with, he scored 77, 74, but he also had a 42 in here, as well as a load of sub performances. And then Johnson will be gone just because he's got a 41. He scored a 41 and has a 63 break even. And even though Sarong's out of the side, I think Erasmus is first choice back into that midfield, and was just disappointing how he got tactically subbed out of the game. I'll quickly talk about the bench. No Long 44. That seems to be what he loves to get around here, we can see. And that's sort of what I expect out of not a key forward, but a small forward that's in their rookie year. So, not too disappointed. He's making a load of cash and has stuck into my side, and will probably continue to stick there unless I can get him up with Darcy Cameron up to the likes of Sicily next week or something like that. Although I expect Sicily to honestly be around that 970k or so. Then we have Chesser here, 66. He was really good and good cash gen out of him. He could be one that could be used to upgrade to Sicily next week, because I don't really want to have to use Sheldrick, but we'll have to wait and see. It could be a Himmelberg and Sheldrick up if Himmelberg isn't performing again. And then you have Mullins here, who's just going along strongly, making some cash, and I think he'll be consistently used on the wing and sort of get crawl towards that 400k marker. I think that's around the marker that he'll stop. Then we move on to the Ruckman. Tim English here, 94, just doing what he does best. I mean, it was a down week for him, but 94 is still good enough. Brown Marshall, 148. He did really well, 20, 10, 10, 7. and then 4 and 3 and 15 hit outs. So he didn't even get that many hit outs. If it was against a weaker ruck matchup, he probably would have ended up with like a 170 score. I mean, admittedly, he did play 95% time on ground. You have Crouch here playing 88, which is around about, I think that like 7 or 8% higher. You have Windhager here playing 90%. That is higher than his usual. You have Sinclair playing 88, which is around about 3 or 4% higher than his usual. And I'm pretty sure Steele was around about the same. So they all played 3 or 4% higher than their usual. But Marshall just went ridiculous. And yeah, he put in a massive effort to get St Kilda even within touching distance in that game, where they had only down to 2 guys on the bench for a lot of the game. Then you have Tim Taranto. He went ridiculous. He actually ridiculous because he didn't score, to be honest. Against Sydney, only in 97. And I don't know the exact reason why he's not scoring. I mean, I think it's because he's not getting those marks and tackles that he's used to. He's only at 7 and 7 here, so I think we just need to hope that he can go up again another gear, and has got West Coast Eagles, so probably as a captaincy option these next couple weeks, and we'll just have to wait and see. Rosie 103, I swear, no, it was the week before that he went higher, but yeah, just didn't even get involved in the marks or tackling and still got 100. Yeah, 100 off 28 touches is pretty good. And yeah, that 145 that he scored off 23 was just ridiculous. Gordon here, just continuing on. He's been probably the form player in the comp the last 3, going 133 and is now averaging 110. And it sucks how he's going to be a midfielder next year, and probably still going to be the pick next year. You could start with him, but he's going to be priced almost at that like a million. So that's going to suck. But if he was to somehow hold on to his forward status, which I doubt he will, I almost think it's physically impossible for him to do it. He would be the F1 by a country mile, as he looks to have that more midfield role going into, I think this is now his 4th. This would be his, I think this is his 3rd year, so it would be his 4th year that he'd be going into. Keys 91, which I'm just hoping he holds on to some sort of a role, as I don't know what they were trying to do with him being in the midfield, or not in the midfield against Essendon. Pretty much lost them the game from memory. So as I'm pretty sure they lost. They were getting blown out, I'm pretty sure. So I just need to double check, because this is so long ago that they actually played, and I'm pretty sure they lost to Essendon. Let me see. Yeah, they lost to Essendon by 18 points, and that was because they won the last quarter by like a margin as well. They kicked 6 goals to 3 in the last quarter, so that could have easily been a 50-point margin if they had lost the last quarter, but they won it pretty convincingly. But yeah, 91 from him isn't the worst, as I think that's sort of a score we actually should be expecting from forwards next year, as I don't think there's going to be too many, and Keys might be one that just holds on to that forward status and gets back into the midfield. Cornelio 136 was absolutely ridiculous, but will lose his forward status, I think, next year. And then Cameron here as well, 77, just annoying, and he will obviously lose his forward status next year. But we're just hoping he gets back to form, as he's looked good in patches, but hasn't put together a full game that's really been worthwhile yet. And then you got Sheldrick 46, Dunkley I held, and Jack Williams also 43, so he's just making a little bit of cash. So that's the video basically there of my round review, and hoping for a better round this week, as I won't have too many rookies to hold, I don't think. I think I've got a better array of people, and as well as it was sort of my guys around that 10% owned that sort of failed. I guess Matthew Johnson was held by a lot, but he failed as well. Himmelberg failed on 9%, and Keys around that 16% also failed. So that's the video there, and hopefully I can do better next week and gain a lot. I'm hoping for a 2450 to 2500 round, and I think that's around the top 1000 ranks or so type of scoring. So hopefully I can gain back on them. And yeah, I'll see you guys in another video. Thanks, guys. Goodbye.